So I managed to finish 15th place for the most recent Ultimate Cup playing one of my favorite decks of this format, which is Beelzemon. Digimon fans, welcome back, and today we'll be showcasing my most updated Beelzemon X Antibody Deck. I know many of you guys are eager to see what I have been cooking up ever since the Beelzemon got hit from the June 2023 restricted list. More specifically, with the EX2 Impmon down to 1, it definitely has slowed the deck down. But I feel that it is still a really strong deck, as there are plenty of different choices that you can add into the build to make up for it. This is also my most current and updated build, which I play for both regular and the Ultimate Cup formats. I also got a few advanced tips for you guys on how you can maximize the efficiency when you're playing the deck as well. But first, let's show you guys the deck profile. Alright, like always, let's begin with Digi-Egg cards. 4 copies of Yamon is still what I'm running. Honestly, I might argue that I might want to play the Pagumon now instead, just because it has a lot more on deletion synergy. Moving forward, I'm going to play test that a little bit more and might actually switch to that as my main egg. But for this Ultimate Cup run, I am running these Yamons just because it helps you mill 2 whenever you're attacking is always just really nice. And at the end of the day, it does have really good synergy with the deck overall, being one of the best eggs too. Okay, now let's jump into our level 3s, which are rookies, and let's just start off with all our Impmons. And to begin with, let's talk about the EX2 Impmon specifically, which is now restricted down to 1. We all know how powerful this card is in terms of helping Beelzemon turbo very quickly when it comes to milling and trashing top cards from your deck. It has the on-play effect, letting you search the top 4, adding yourself a Digimon card with Beelzemon in its name, and I Am Mako as well is actually really good and also hurts the deck a lot, even if it's down to the 1 of. But of course, you definitely play the 1 of itself anyways, because when you mill it, even better for you for turbo trashing, and that's really it. So the first and foremost thing that you sort of really think about on what the replacement is to basically play more other Impmon names in particular. Hence being the BT2 Impmon, I still really like to hard play this guy as early in the stages of the game. Now the reason why I might switch back to the Pagumon Egg is just because it has more synergy with that. Being able to trash 5 potentially from the top of your deck alongside with Pagumon Egg is ultra value with this card too, and it can help you compensate for the speed, and trying to get there as soon as possible as well is always very nice. And yeah, definitely 4 copies of this guy for sure. Then we also definitely play the 4 copies of the Advanced deck set Impmon right here. I still feel this card is just super strong. Being able to pop level 3s with its inheritable is actually really neat in the early stages of the game. Your opponents would very likely play searchers that are 3 costs, that are level 3, and hard play them, and immediately being able to remove them by comboing with your level 4 milling plays, and so what? It's just ultra really nice. So now some of you guys might argue you only really need to play 3 copies of this, so it really comes down to personal preference. I just want the 4 for the consistency. Building a stack a little bit faster as well is just always really good, and I like seeing this card all the time. So for now, running 4 is just really good for me. And of course, we also then want to end off with the other 4 copies of Impmon X. This is also a very good rookie because it is like essentially a wild card. When you're on play or when digivolving it, trashing 1 option card from your hand, you get to grab basically anything that is within the archetype back. Any Evo, any Wizard, any Demon Lord, you can help you go for your big combo plays and find your missing pieces that you need to go for, again, like a big play for the big turn, as well as its inheritable of when attacking once per turn, being able to trash top 2 cards of your deck is still very nice to help you get there even faster. I'm super excited for the upcoming EX4 alternative being set. With a ton of new cards, I just can't wait to make even more videos and deck profiles and play with them. And if you guys are just as excited and want to see deck lists before anyone else, then be sure to join the Avault Club right now. By joining, you will get access to my entire arsenal of deck lists, with first drafts and constant updates before anyone else. I already started posting a bunch of EX4 decks on there too, so what are you waiting for? Be sure to join right now by clicking on the join button or the link in the description box down below, and I look forward to engaging with you guys in the membership section. But that's it for the rookies. Let's talk about our level 4s now. 4 copies of the Wizardmon is still a must because of its milling effect. Potentially, if you do mill it, you get to gain a memory. That's how you extend your turn. That's how you extend your combos. And then with its when attacking, inheritable is also very nice sometimes when you do build your stack, so you can control the stuff that you want to mill from the cards in your hand, specifically that you don't want to be seeing. So by putting those cards back from your hand to the top of your deck, you get to potentially, trigger it along with your milling effects, so you can put those cards into your trash or have those milling effects come out from it, and just really good setup overall for sure. Then we actually now have 2 copies of Wizard X. Now there's a very specific reason why I decreased the number down from 4 to 3 all around down to 2 now, particularly is mainly because I'm actually playing 3 copies of Witchmon. The main reason, again, is just to really help compensate for the slower speed of milling. I personally prefer milling immediately a lot as soon as I Digivolve, which is hence why I play Witchmon and more Witchmons instead of Wizardmon, just so because I can mill 3 instead of just milling 2. I know Wizardmon gives you a bit more longevity when it comes to building the stack, and you can potentially mill even more turn after turn, which is really nice, but I really just want to go aggressive as soon as I Digivolve and just mill as much as I can. And very importantly, I realized that the inheritable of giving you extra 2000 DP has now become more relevant than it has before, just so you can ensure maybe sometimes you do want to swing over stuff, and to also make sure that you can survive security checks as well at the same time. Making it a little bit stronger is really what I kind of prefer as well, and it's really worked out for me. So really juggle between on what ratios you guys really prefer between Witchmon and Wizardmon X, and that's really how we want to go about it. That's it for level 4s. Let's move into our level 5s, and for the current most updated build, I'm only actually playing the 4 copies of the Advanced Deck Set Balmon right here. Like I mentioned earlier before, I much prefer to trash as soon as I Digivolve. I can do so much more. I feel like I'm all in about that, and it's just really, really nice being able to trash more as soon as quickly, and that's how I want to turbo and add as many cards as I can. I do really like its floating capability with its on deletion effect that you get for the whole turn as well, until the end of your opponent's turn essentially. And then inheritable, again, like I mentioned, DP is going to be important. Getting extra 2000 DP is always going to be really nice, and that's really it for the level 5s right here. Now let's move into level 6s. Of course, you still definitely want to play the 2 copies of the Beelzemon from EX2. When you mill it, you get to play Impmon, which is great. This is also really good for controlling the board when you need to pop more things, because of its when Digivolving and when attacking effects are not once per turn. Helps you mill a little bit, but being able to pop things are level 3, and adding a level for every 10 cards in your trash when you do it is really, really nice. Keep in mind, guys, its effect of milling is not mandatory for you to pop. So really, really cool stuff, and you can really choose and maneuver with it. And yeah, just a really good card in general. Very, very simple as always. We're really just going for the 2-2-2 split as per usual. This is also the really great one I love getting into, just because you can mill more, gain more memory back, security +1 as well, and it just does a whole lot of things. Just for 4 costs, it's just really, really memory efficient with this guy. And yeah, this is the other main Beelzemon. And then of course, you do still have to play 2 copies of the Beelzemon X. It is kind of like your win-ending combo guy right there, trashing your opponent's security, especially when you have 20 or 30, being able to trash 2 or 3, you instantly just win games with this guy. However, there are some situations you can have it stay on board and not finish the game just yet, but then it also has the undeletion effect, so they can play an Impmon back, and really depending on your matchup, you can actually pressure your opponent with that as well, because you can threaten with another Impmon play coming back out, giving a little bit more floating, which is again very, very nice and what I really like. And then last but not least, for the level 7, still playing the 2 copies of Blast Modes. I tried playing 1 copy of this, and it's very, very difficult choice, because sometimes I play 2, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to brick up my hand, increase the brickiness, and sometimes seeing like 2 of these in my hand is just no good at all. You only really need to see it once, and when you're seeing it, you're trying to finish the game. It's kind of like a Blitz Omni of the deck essentially, but the only reason when I played 1 is then I feel like I never see it. In the moments then I want to see it, I never have access to it, because for some random reason it's in my security. So I have gone back to the 2-2-2, so having 2 copies at least, just to ensure that I can see a little bit more consistently when I really need to, is still very, very important, because it helps you finish those games. So yeah, that's my take on the ratios versus 1 or 2 for this guy. That's it for all of our Digimon. Let's talk about our Tamers. Of course, still 4 copies of Ayamako. I'm always in for 4 copies of this card no matter what, because of how good they are. They search for you. The sooner you play them, the more value they're going to give you for the entire game moving forward. Being able to place stuff from your hand back to the top of your deck when you're digivolving, gaining that memory as well, setting up your trashing combos. Honestly, this, if I were to be really strict on it, I think this is a must-have. Have a 4. I would not play even 3 because I just need to see them as much as I can. That's it for all the Tamers. Let's talk about our options. 4 copies of Deathslinger, very similar effect to Wizardmon when it gets milled, essentially getting you the memory back by being able to delete anything that is level 4 or lower just for 4 costs, and then being able to increase the level by 1 for every 10 cards in your trash. Just gives you so much versatility on what you can delete, and it's very easy to just get into 20 and you can just delete any level 6s or lower. Is still just a very strong card no matter what. And then moving on, next we are playing 3 copies of Rivals Barrage. You guys know how good this card really is as well. Wild card, being able to get you anything when it's milled and stuff. I have decreased the amount from 4 to 3 now, just because we're playing a little bit of the slightly different option lineup. I don't want to make new room for it, and I think playing 3 is actually good enough, because in most games you only need to see 1, maybe 2, and being able to have that one-time access to any card you want is already really good enough for it in the most cases. And yeah, I just don't want to add too many high cost options in the deck and then, you know, making it more bricky than it needs to be. So 3 is very what I'm comfortable with. And then of course I'm playing the 2 7-fold clusters. If you guys are wondering why people are running 2 specifically, it's actually especially good against the matchups that has protection, especially being like Wargreymon and Machinedramon, and even sometimes like All-Force, for example, because they have that protection, and it forces Wargreymon to trash more sources, it forces Machinedramon to trash more sources to keep them on board. So if you have multiple copies, it's always very nice. And same for All-Force potentially popping stuff, and you can go for crazy plays to pop a lot of things when you go into your Beelzemon X, even popping like low cost blockers that your opponent might have, or just clearing their board, making it clear so you can swing for game, is still exactly why I run at least 2 of. Then we're going back to the Mist Memory Boost days. 2 copies of Mist Memory Boost. I realized that this card is just really good in the early games to play usually. Now the very important thing is I would never play this card when I have 2 memory, just in anticipation to choke my opponent at 1. Because what will happen to you normally is you end up milling a card that gains you a memory, and then you're back at 0, and you're in a very awkward position, because then you can't choke your opponent anymore, and then you might have to hard play something for 3 costs or even pass your turn, which is really unfortunate at times. And therefore I've learned to play this a little bit more carefully. And actually I really like playing this card in the first turn, especially if I'm going first. That way if I do mill a memory gaining effect, at least I pass my opponent to 2. So that's really hit with Mist Memory Boost, and it's super important for you to make big turn plays, because sometimes you just need the extra memory, and having that extra boost for you will make you mill even more and can go into your combos even faster than earlier than before. And then last but not least, for the final option card that I'm now playing is Calling from the Darkness. I gotta tell you guys, this card has done in a lot of work for me from so many games of playtesting. Now, the first reason why we play this is that you can potentially grab yourself any 2 pieces that you really need back from your trash, either to build your stack, go for your game-ending combos and whatnot. But this also technically gives you access to your EX2 Impmon once again. If you milled it priorly, you can use this to grab it back as well, and then set up more potential mills to maximize your milling efficiency with it. There's actually also a really insane combo that I managed to pull off sometimes in the late game with this particular card, which lets you trash quite a bit of security on your opponents, which is pretty insane, honestly. But that's it for the 1 calling right here, and that's it for the 50 card main deck. Alright, that's it for all the cards. I don't have any extra cards or different like suggestions anymore, just because I feel like I really optimized the deck for myself in terms of playstyle. But of course, if you guys have any suggestions or recommendations, definitely as usual, let us know in the comments. And let's just jump into more advanced tips and sort of like slightly more advanced combos I can be doing, which I have covered quite a bit on my various other Beelzemon deck profiles and combo segments. So if you guys are newer, be sure to check out my older Beelzemon deck profiles and combo segment right there, so you can learn and how to play them, because now I'm just going to go into more advanced cool stuff with the new adjustments right here. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. Of course, like most always, you're going to hash your egg, digivolve, and do your stack and whatnot. Establishing your Iron Makos is really, really crucial. Now, let's talk about how you can effectively maximize the efficiency of this EX2 Impmon. Now, during the courses, when you're doing your digivolving and whatever, when you're building your stack and stuff like that, you would tend to mill into this guy sometimes. When you do mill it, then great. If you draw into it, that's great as well, because you can always use Iron Mako to place this back to the top of your deck and then potentially mill it with your when digivolving effects. That's why I really like the when digivolving mill effects and prioritize those. But also the other thing is you do play quite a number of Rivals Barrage. If you go for the opt-in 4 copies, you're going to see it very often being milled. And when you do have your EX2 Impmon, this is when you have multiple Rivals Barrages, or even just that one, it can help you turbo mill faster, because the more Rivals Barrages you have, the more free cards you get back, essentially. And it's very easy to see multiple of them during the stages of the game, usually, because how effectively and how efficiently Beelzemon mills generally. But let's just say you have 2. You can just immediately use it, grab your Impmon EX2 back from your trash to your hand, and then you digivolve next into your Beelzemon, and exactly same thing once again. You suspend the Iron Mako, place it to the top, mill and mill and mill. By doing this and by knowing these situations and scenarios and pulling off this combo, it virtually also makes it like as if it never came down to 1, because you're creating opportunities for you to mill more, particularly with this card. And the exact very same reason why sometimes I love playing Calling from the Darkness, because sometimes I might just have an empty board, or if I'm just building a stack outside right here, if you have nothing, but as long as you have a Tamer or an egg or something in the source, you can just pay 1 memory and grab anything you want back from your trash, anything that you milled, anything, essentially. It's just so good for 1 cost. Like, it's even better than Rivals Barrage, I think, instantly, because you don't need to mill it. You instantly play it and you grab it, and which is also exactly the reason why this card is restricted down to 1 as well. So Calling from Darkness equals to so many other cards and potential plays. Now, another really cool final combo I just really want to show you guys. You guys know the typical go into Beelzemon, either digivolve into Beelzemon, and then continue with Beelzemon X to finish the game. Or you guys also know the warping combo, which I covered most cases already. But let's just go into here. There's a couple times, actually, as a matter of fact, I was able to pull this really crazy combo off. So this is what happened. I pushed out Witchmon from raising. I digivolved into a Beelzemon. I had probably 1 Iron Mako here per se, or even like multiples usually, so I can gain a lot of memory, and I have a missed memory boost. You know, because now you have a bit more time to set up, you can do a lot more cooler things. And then if your opponent ever passes you the 3, then you're great, and then you're just chilling because you didn't pop your memory boost. You gain 2 memory with that. You can go with Iron Mako right here as well, and you can gain even more memory with them when you digivolve into Beelzemon. You mill stuff, you might gain a little bit more memory on the way as well, and you really want to be like at 20 or 30 cards in your trash in these stages, because eventually you're going to digivolve into this Beelzemon right here, ideally for 4, but you get to, you know, mill more stuff as well, and then you get to gain a bunch of memory back. And then this is what I do next. I digivolve it for 1 into Beelzemon X right here. What you do is you either trash 2 or 3 cards of your opponent's security right there, and then you could swing with it if you would like or not. But with Calling from the Darkness, I actually pay 1 memory sometimes, making sure that you still retain your turn when you're playing with this memory, of course. I delete my own Beelzemon X Antibody, and then I would grab 2 pieces. Make sure you don't grab Beelzemon X, but also don't make sure that you don't grab any Beelzemon that you need. So let's just say you just grab whatever 2 right here. So now you get to resolve a bunch of effects. Because your Beelzemon on deletion is still alive, you can play this Beelzemon back right here, and then your Beelzemon X will let you play a Impmon back from trash, and let's just say you play this one. Now, really important as well, then, if you had Rivals Barrage, then great. If you had another Beelzemon X in your hand, you can easily then go into for 1 again, trash another 2 or 3 of your opponent's security. And then, of course, like, these are just played during this turn, so they can't swing, but that's okay. But usually you might have an extra body that just came out from raising or something, or if they're present on the board prior, you just finish the game just like that. Really, really simple and really, really crazy combo, which I have actually pulled this off quite a few times with the Calling from Darkness, and a lot of people actually didn't expect to see it as well. Not even that, sometimes you might even be able to prolong an entire turn and clear your opponent's board and establish enough advantage for you to go back to your next turn, and then all you have to do is try and swing for game, just like that. So this is the few key examples of like really cool advanced tips that I would keep in mind when I'm playing the Beelzemon, especially with the EX EX2 Impmon down to 1 now. You know, playing the Rivals Barrage. Pay attention with your Rivals Barrage, how many you have, how many you can use, and how many Impmon EX2s you can grab back. You can only grab one back at a time anyways, but then you can also utilize Calling from Darkness to grab another one back. And the other one to keep in mind is if you ever do Digivolve into your Impmon X as well, if you trash a option card from your hand, let's just trash this Rivals Barrage as well from hand, then you can also grab this back, and then always making sure you can use your Ayamakos. Now, if you have 2 Ayamakos as well per se, let's just say you're doing whatever combo you usually have. You know, you Digivolve into Witchmon right here. You can suspend Ayamako to place it 1 at a time if you have enough memory. So you mill the 3, and then you do all the combo shenanigans and whatnot, and then you say you had a Rivals Barrage here on the board. You use the Rivals Barrage to grab back the EX2 Impmon once again, and then you can Digivolve into a Beelzemon in the same turn, because you're still your turn. Then you suspend your second Ayamako, placing the EX2 Impmon back to the top again, milling with Beelzemon immediately. And once again, this is the exact reason why I'm showcasing you guys why I like when Digivolving milling effects more so in general, just because you can do this particular combo, and then you mill another extra 3 because of this now. And then you're just milling and milling and milling, and it's almost like just different ways you just have to work around to identify in those situations to play these Impmon EX2 so you can mill even more to help you get into the late game stages that you really need to, just to compensate the speed that you lost from before, because this is now restricted down to 1. That'll wrap up for the deck profile for today. If you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please give it a like. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, or questions, be sure to share it with everyone in the comments down below. If you guys want to see more Beelzemon action and high quality gameplay, definitely check out the Beelzemon vs Beelstarmon battle video on the channel. Links will be left on the top right iCard and in the description box down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video, and this is Avault, signing out.